Redeemed, rehabilitated, and real entertaining. This is the Carl Jackson Podcast.
All right, guys, welcome to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Tucker Carlson is back. He's coming to Twitter, it appears, and he's going to be launching a lawsuit against Fox News. Trump loses his civil case against E. Jean Carroll. Also, we have the CIA fast-tracked a letter throughout the agency that suggested that the Hunter Biden laptop was just Russian disinformation. Also, we have the Biden family crime business has made $10 million from Romania and China while he was a VP. And we have this latest breaking news that Biden is reinstating the Remain in Mexico, or Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. All this and more in this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please stay tuned for some quick program messaging. All right, guys, welcome to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. We're on Apple, Google, Spotify, you name it. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Rumble channel, the Carl Jackson Show on Rumble, the Carl Jackson Show on YouTube. Please rate and review it. Once you review it, when you rate it, review it, it will help us grow up the charts, or rise up the charts, if you will. Please share it with your friends and family. We would certainly appreciate that. On all things social media, the Carl Jackson Show is where you can go to find me. What else here, Gabe? I'm not sure. Anything else comes up, I will let you know. Oh, I do want to share with you our sponsor for today. That is Mike Lindell, MyPillow, MyPillow.com. They have this new offer, this new pillow, MyPillow 2.0. You're going to absolutely love it. It comes with the same adjusted patented feel as the original MyPillow, but now it has this outer layer, this temperature regulating thread that makes it softer, smoother, and cooler. And on top of all of that, you're going to get one free. Yes, it's a buy one, get one free offer. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener square that's at the top of the page, enter my name, Carl, C-A-R-L, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. That is 800-858-0263, and mention my name, Carl, C-A-R-L. Also, the products come with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. All right, guys, I want to go to this story right off the bat. Actually, let me offer you this breaking news, because this literally just broke as we were getting ready to film the podcast for today. So it popped up on my phone from the Daily Wire, and it looks like the Biden administration, right on the cusp of Title 42 ending, has decided to reinstate Trump's policy, the Remain in Mexico policy. It says here, hat tip the Daily Wire, the Biden administration has brought back a Trump-era immigration rule the day before Title 42 is scheduled to sunset and encourage a wave of illegal immigration into the United States. I've read reports that there are 700,000 illegal immigrants in waiting, or migrants, currently migrants. They would be illegal immigrants once they crossed our border, but migrants, 700,000 waiting to enter into the United States the moment that Title 42 comes to an end. So perhaps that won't happen. We will see. The rule finalized and published in the Federal Register on Wednesday disqualifies migrants from applying for asylum in the U.S. if they neglected to first apply for asylum in other countries they travel to. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Guys, think about this. In order to stop the invasion that we've seen at the border, what did Biden have to do to stop the invasion that we're seeing at the border? He had to reinstate a Trump-era policy, the Remain in Mexico policy, which tells you what? He was doing the wrong thing all along, and they were intentionally doing so because they want a perpetual underclass in the United States of America. This is what they wanted. These guys are fakes, they're frauds, they're phonies, they're disgusting, despicable, and evil people. And the only reason he was willing to do that is because they cannot hide how badly the illegal alien problem is getting here in the United States, the invasion problem. You've got even liberal mayors like Eric Adams complaining about what's happening in blue cities with illegal immigration. They cannot hide it anymore. And perhaps they got enough in to destroy America permanently. That's going to be up to us. We're going to have to fight like hell in 2024 and in 2023, some of the elections that are coming up here, to make sure that we certainly win some of these races. in 2023 and leading up to the big race in 2024. The article goes on to say, again, I'll reiterate, the rule finalized and published in the Federal Register today disqualifies migrants from applying for asylum in the U.S. if they neglected to first apply for asylum in other countries they traveled through, such as Mexico. Hundreds of asylum officers were trained in how to enforce the rule on Tuesday ahead of Title 42's expiration, this according to CBS News. The new rule, a reversal of Joe Biden's campaign promises, comes as the administration has failed for more than 2 years to control historic levels of illegal immigration into the U.S. And again, the truth is they never intended to control our border. They wanted the flood of illegal aliens. The ongoing crisis, according to Daily Wire, at the southern border is widely expected to worsen later this week, obviously with the end of Title 42. That is a health order authorizing border officials to immediately expel migrants without processing, and that is repealed at 11:59 p.m. on Thursday. All right, so now they'll be able to send migrants out. Actually, they won't even be able to get in. They won't be able to apply for asylum. When Trump implemented the rule to contain illegal immigration, according to the column, Biden was one of his most vocal critics. Biden used Trump's immigration policies as a club, as a cudgel during the 2020 presidential campaign. But isn't it amazing now that he wants to control the border? He's going back to reinstating the Remain in Mexico City policy, or the Remain in Mexico policy. This should tell you everything you need to know about these fakes, these phonies, these frauds that are willing to exploit illegal immigrants, that are willing to allow children to be raped and everything else, and fentanyl to be brought across our borders simply because they want a permanent underclass. They want people to stay poor and impoverished so that they can stay in power. The Democrat Party as it exists today, and I'm not talking about the laymen, but I am talking about the leaders. They are evil. And this should show you that. Okay, moving on. Now, let me get to this story with Tucker Carlson, because this is absolutely fascinating. Tucker is back. Fox News made a huge mistake by letting go of Tucker Carlson. I've mentioned this before. Now it appears that Tucker Carlson is going to be coming back. He's hinted at that. We'll play a video for you in just a second here, but he's hinted at that just as actually he's pretty much mentioned it. I mean, he's been talking to Elon Musk. There's been rumors about that. Apparently, they have worked things out. It's not a contract from what I understand, but Tucker Carlson will likely do his show on Twitter where he'll make money based upon ad revenue, and he'll be bringing you some of the truth. Let me tell you why this was a huge mistake to get rid of Tucker Carlson. Fox News is in. All right, because he was a bridge between older viewers and newer viewers. So if Fox wanted to build up their streaming network, Fox Nation and all that kind of stuff, what better person to have around than Tucker Carlson to do that? Not to mention that his show was the premier cable show of the, I think it was the demographic age, I believe it's 25 to 54, something of that nature. Anyway, a lot of younger viewers were watching him. Those are the viewers that are going to be active on social media. Those are the viewers that are going to be sharing Tucker Carlson's clips. So very bad move. I think Fox will regret this, because I think it expedites an end to dinosaur media, if you will. And listen, I appreciate Fox News. I appreciate the Fox News has been a great conservative giant for bringing us the news over a couple of decades, or more than a couple of decades now. And I think they've been instrumental in helping to save this country, along with Rush Limbaugh, back in the day. But it's obvious that Fox News has lost their way. I hope that they will return. I hope they will become a free speech platform at some point. But again, Tucker Carlson is going to be setting up shop on Twitter. I think this is going to be absolutely fabulous for Tucker Carlson. I think this is going to be a resurgence of free speech and true journalism within the United States, where it's not journalism that is absolutely censored or controlled opposition, meaning that, yeah, you can oppose some politicians. You can oppose if you're someone that offers opinion and you happen to be conservative, you can oppose some of the news that the left-wing media is spewing out, but you can only go so far. There's a limit as to how far you can go. I think that is coming to an end. I think we're going to see real journalism inside of the United States again. You've been seeing it on places like this, on the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Again, please subscribe wherever you go to get your podcast. And again, on Rumble, the Carl Jackson Show. Please subscribe. Please rate and review it. Do the same on YouTube if you prefer YouTube, the Carl Jackson Show. That's the only way we can spread this message. Is it the message of freedom here? Is if you like, if you rate, if you review, if you share. And we definitely need your help in doing that. But Tucker Carlson, I think this is good. I think this is good for alternative media. I think this is good for we the people, because we are going to have more outlets that are going to be able to put these hold the politicians in Washington, D.C. and state and local offices accountable, unfiltered. This is extremely important for America to remain America, or at least to restore our constitutional republic. And we can talk about objective truth. Think about this. Think about the story of that the mall shooting in Texas, in Allen, Texas, I believe, where the mass murderer was being called a white supremacist. And you see the pictures of the guy, and it is clear, and you hear his name, and he is clearly a Latino. He is clearly Latino. And then you see pictures, or alleged pictures, because I didn't see his face at the time, but let's assume that it's him with this swastika on himself and this SS. Somebody made a very good point. Like, those tattoos are fresh. And the guy was a nutcase. He was kicked out of the military within a few months back in 2008 or 2009 because of his mental instability. Insane. Apparently, for those of you that don't know, if you're not white, you can't be a white supremacist. I don't care what the left says. It's an argument for idiots. All right. The guy is clearly Latino. The guy was clearly mentally ill or evil, But either way, I think he got the fate that he deserved. An officer rushed to pop a cap in him, and that's exactly what should have happened, in my opinion. No need for a trial, no need for a mental institution. Let's just go ahead and end it, and he can go ahead and talk to God, and they can work things out, because God is going to be all of our final judge. Okay, so now I want to go ahead and play this video of Tucker Carlson, and perhaps we'll unpack some of it as quickly as we can. But I also want to talk about this lawsuit this legal move, I should say, against Fox News, according to Revolver News, that Tucker Carlson is making against Fox, so he can get out of commentary jail, so to speak. We'll talk about that. But first, let's go ahead and roll this video. This is Tucker Carlson basically announcing that he's coming to Twitter. And I can't wait. I'm sure you can't either. Let's go ahead and roll the tape. Por favor, Gabe.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say the news is full of lies. But most of the time, that's not exactly right. Much of what you see on television or read the New York Times is in fact true in the literal sense. It could pass one of the media's own fact checks. Lawyers would be willing to sign off on it. In fact, they may have. But that doesn't make it true. It's not true. At the most basic level, the news you consume is a lie of the stealthiest and most insidious kind. Facts have been withheld on purpose, along with proportion and perspective. You are being manipulated. How does that work? Let's see. If I tell you that a man has been unjustly arrested for armed robbery, that is not, strictly speaking, a lie. He may have been framed. At this point, there's been no trial, so no one can really say. But if I don't mention the fact that the same man has been arrested for the same crime 6 times before, am I really informing you? No, I'm not. I'm misleading you. And that's what the news media are doing in every story that matters, every day of the week, every week of the year. What's it like to work in a system like that? After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories. The best you can hope for in the news business at this point is the freedom to tell the fullest truth that you can. But there are always limits. And you know that if you bump up against those limits often enough, you will be fired for it. That's not a guess, it's guaranteed. Every person who works in English language media understands that. The rule of what you can't say defines everything. It's filthy, really, and it's utterly corrupting. You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now. Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and develops. Twitter is not a partisan site. Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works, and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others. See you soon.
Man, I can't wait. And not just for Tucker's show. I can't wait because I think this is going to bring a resurgence of journalism. I believe that dinosaur media needs to be challenged. If for no other reason, that they will stop this controlled opposition or this omission is what basically Tucker Carlson was explaining that exists inside of these newsrooms, these news organizations. Now, he's fighting back as well. Let me give you a summary from Revolver News. After being fired from Fox 2 weeks ago, and it's not technically fired because they're still paying Tucker $20 million a year to try to keep him shut through January of 2025. You know, after the next presidential election, doesn't look like it's working out well for Fox. But Tucker Carlson is accusing Fox of fraud and a breach of contract. In a letter from his lawyers, Tucker made several document demands, which could lead to legal action down the road. This move allows Tucker to argue that the non-compete in his contract is therefore invalid, freeing him to start his own competing show or media company. The legal news comes on the heel, obviously, of Tucker announcing his show on Twitter. The curious timing of all these events suggests that he has been meeting with Elon Musk, and it could be related to his future plans, possibly including the new venture. I think that's given now. So here's Carlson's attorney, or the Twitter move would seem to technically violate Carlson's contract with Fox, but his lawyer's letter effectively holds that Fox breached the contract first. Sources told Axios, as a matter of fact, that Carlson's lawyer sent their letter before Tucker Carlson took to Twitter to announce the new show. Axios reported Sunday that Carlson was frustrated being held down by his contract, and he's preparing to unleash allies to pressure the network into letting him work for himself, basically. All right. Carlson's contract, again, runs out January 2025. So they want to keep him silent until then. The letter from Carlson's lawyer, Brian Friedman, to Fox officials Viet Din, Vietdinh, and Irina Brigante said Fox employees, including Rupert Murdoch himself, quote unquote, broke promises to Carlson, quote, intentionally and with reckless disregard for the truth, quote unquote. Tucker's lawyers are singling out Rupert Murdoch and Viet Din, who is chief legal and policy officer for Fox Corporation, for committing, quote, fraud, close quote, against him. The lawyers accuse Fox executives, which two sources say, again, are Dean and Murdoch, of making, quote, material representations, close quote, or promises to Carlson that were intentionally broken. The letter alleges Fox broke an agreement with Carlson not to leak his private communications to the media, and not to use Carlson's private messages to, quote, take any adverse employment action against him, close quote. Now, Fox sent out this cease and desist letter to Media Matters the other week, and basically the story was, or the news story was, that it was a third party that was leaking these videos to Media Matters. Now we're not so sure. Multiple outlets have reported on Carlson's redacted communications from pretrial discovery documents and have suggested that they led to his ousting. The letter accuses Fox News of breaking promises related to the Dominion voting systems lawsuit settlement. which could harm Tucker's reputation. Axios also says their source revealed that Tucker Carlson was informed by a member of the Fox board that his removal from the air was, in fact, part of the Dominion lawsuit. Now, Fox denies this vehemently, but this is we're going to have to check and find out. Now, all right, let me get to this story real quick about Trump has lost the civil suit against E. Jean Carroll, or I should say E. Jean Carroll won her civil suit against former President Donald Trump. Basically, the allegations were that 30 years ago or so, about 30 years ago or so, although E. Jean Carroll could not remember when it happened. And oddly, there were no witnesses and no one heard anything because it allegedly occurred in a department store. But allegedly, Jean Carroll was raped by Donald Trump. Now, the odd thing is the jury didn't believe that, even though they cited against Trump and for E. Jean Carroll unanimously, the jury did not believe that E. Jean Carroll was raped, but they did believe she was sexually assaulted. Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out that one myself. Guys, let me say this. I've been a victim, not that I'm bragging about it, all right, Gabe, but I've been a victim of 2 violent crimes in my life, and I can tell you, I forget what it's called, but I can go through painstaking detail on both of those occasions. Your brain literally slows down. It's almost as if it's taking video snaps or pictures of the time. I don't believe this one iota, but let me tell you what I think this is about. Let me tell you what I think. Oh, let me give you a couple more. Here's a couple more details. E. Jean Carroll was promoting a book in 2019. Now, again, this crime allegedly took place 30 years ago. She was promoting a book. And then she decides to file this civil suit against them. And the state of New York, they reopened this Adult Survivors Act, which went into the effect, removing the statute of limitation for any crimes that took place, God knows how long, outside of the statute of limitations. So this opened the door for E. Jean Carroll to be able to go after Trump again. It's very clever. Here's what I think. Here's what I believe is really going on. And I don't want to minimize rape. I don't want to minimize. I'll be frank. I simply do not believe her. I simply do not believe her. I don't think when something that heinous happens, I don't think that you wait that long to tell somebody. And I think you tell people that are really close to you. So I think there will be more witnesses, not just in or around the department store, but people that you don't not share that type of tragedy with someone. So here's what I think this is really about. I think this is about killing the Trump campaign by 1,000 cuts. You've heard of the term death by 1,000 cuts. I think that's what the left is trying to do. And everyone is willing to participate in this. Everyone on the left is willing to participate in this. And I think the ultimate goal is to divorce Trump, not from all of his voters, but from the suburban moms, from the independent voters that'll say, ooh, some of that other stuff is a little crazy. I don't believe, but this, people don't want to talk about sexual assault. So just keep that in mind. All right, moving on. The New York Post, CIA fast-tracked a letter that falsely suggested the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian operation. So the CIA sponsored with former acting director, and this is a summary, you guys know this, Mike Morrell and the Biden campaign to produce a letter falsely claiming that the emails from Hunter Biden's laptop were Russian disinformation. And they solicited signatures from at least one former intelligence officials. A staff report from the House Judiciary Committee, again, is expected to reveal today. As a matter of fact, I believe they've done that. If not, they will be doing that. So Morrell told the CIA's pre-publication classification review board, man, that is a mouthful, that he needed the letter approved as an unusual rush job, quote unquote, that day, which was October 19, 2020. Why? In an effort to provide then candidate Joe Biden with ammunition in the final presidential debate to discredit the New York Post report on the Biden emails, which had been published 5 days earlier. Guys, you have the CIA picking and choosing who our president should be. This is unbelievable. That day, a CIA employee working for the PCRB, again, the Pre-Publication Classification Review Board. Let me tell you what that is. Basically, if people from the deep state or from the departments want to write a book, they've got to get clearance for this stuff, right? And so that's what the Pre-Publication Classification Review Board is. So a CIA employee working for the PCRB solicited a signature for Morell's letter from former CIA analyst David Carrions. This, according to a written statement by Carrions to the subcommittees on the weaponization of the federal government. I love that they formed this committee, the weaponization of the federal government. We've got to clean up our federal government. Weaponization of the federal government and intelligence. So Carrions explained that he had been speaking with the PCRP about the pre-publication review of his own memoir, and during that phone call with the CIA, a CIA employee asked him, quote unquote, asked him if he would sign that draft letter. It's almost as if stuff like this probably happens regularly in the CIA. When the person in charge of reviewing my book, he says, called to say it was approved with no changes, I was told about the draft letter. The person asked me if I would be willing to sign. I agreed to sign, said Carrion, quote unquote. Carrion told his wife, Janice Carrion, also a former CIA officer, about the letter. She also agreed to sign. Morell directed the PCRB that this is a rush job as it needs to get out as soon as possible, quote unquote. The CIA conspired with former acting director Mike Morell and the Biden campaign to produce this letter, falsely claiming that the emails from Hunter Biden's laptop were Russian disinformation. Morell told the CIA's pre-publication classification review board that he needed that thing immediately. Morell told fellow signatory John Brennan, former CIA director, that he wanted the letter released before Biden's October 22nd, 2020 presidential debate against Trump. Said, and I quote, trying to give the campaign, particularly during the debate, a talking point to push back on Trump, close quote. Now, you guys know this, but I want to add to this. I want to add to this before we close out here. Yeah, there's even more to, and don't forget, Morell told Blinken that he was not familiar with the article, and Blinken later that night forwarded him a USA Today story alleging that the FBI was investigating whether it was Russian disinformation. Blinken was involved too. We know that Blinken was working with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden while he was the deputy secretary of state during the Obama administration, working with the Biden crime family. He said he never emailed Hunter Biden. Well, there's news that has come out that he did email Hunter Biden, but instead of using his government laptop or his government computer or his government communication systems, he was using his personal email, just like Hillary Clinton, to correspond with Hunter Biden. These people are so crooked and corrupt. All right, let me close it out with this story, because this also broke today. I mean, today has, guys, I got to tell you, listen, we had another podcast lined up for you today. As a matter of fact, we recorded another podcast, but the news just kept breaking. It would not stop. It's like a fire hose. Here's the last one. Hat to Breitbart. From the Oversight Committee, the Biden family business received over $10 million from Romania and China for unknown work. So basically, the Biden crime family has a business, and no one knows what the hell the business is. Here's the summary. The Biden family business, over the course of several years, received over $10 million from business schemes in Romania and China in return for what appears to be influence peddling. Bank documents obtained Wednesday by Breitbart News from the House Oversight Committee show. In total, the Biden family members and business associates designed a web of over 20 companies, many of which were formed during Joe Biden's vice presidency. The committee revealed in total, the Biden family business associates and companies received over $10 million from foreign nationals, companies the committee found. What were they getting paid for? The funds appear to contradict Biden's claim that his family received no money from China. The funds also raise questions about what the Biden family returned in terms of service or products for the money they had received. And the article goes on. I mean, it is damning. It is damning. You have this guy from Bladen Enterprises paid Robinson Walker LLC $3 million. Bladen Enterprises is reported to be Gabriel Popoviciu's Cypriot company that he used, I don't know how to pronounce that, to conduct business in Romania. Robinson Walker is the Biden family business partner who collectively sent the Biden family $1.3 million. The story goes on. There were at least 16 transactions that took place while Biden was VP. These people are corrupt. Biden should not be running for re-election. Listen to me. Joe Biden should not be running for re-election. He should be running from the law. These people are evil. They are disgusting. Guys, let me close it out. I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Support our sponsor, MyPillow.com. Get your buy one, get one free MyPillow. MyPillow.com. Click on the promo code. Enter my name, Carl, C-A-R-L, to get that gift, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. Join me on social media, all things social media, Twitter, Getter, True Social, Facebook, Instagram. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Carl Jackson Show. We're also on Rumble, if you prefer Rumble, the free speech platform. And we're going to figure out how to do what Tucker Carlson is doing on Twitter as well. We look forward to that. But right now, we're working on building our name, building our brand, fighting for freedom with you. We got to win these elections in 2023, and we got to win 2024. We have got to save this country. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Until next time, do not grow weary doing good. God bless you.